Today's track is the title track from the album Playing for Free, so let's get into it. Hello, my name is Ian. I run a small record label on the Isle of Skye called Skye Records. In today's video, I thought it would be good to take you through a track by the artist Snuffbox from their album Playing for Free, and give you some insight into the production and mixing decisions that were taken. So, it was essentially recorded live, minimal editing, with decisions made on full takes, rather than knitting it together from multiple takes. Let's have a look at the fiddle. So you can hear a little bit of cello in the background. It's just the way it had to be on the day. Got a wee look at the plugins that are involved. This plugin from UAD is a tape emulation plugin, and it's on all the tracks. This compressor from UAD is also on all the tracks on 176. Quite a lot of EQ. It looks worse than it really is. These are all the thinnest Q I could get. It's Charlie Stewart, by the way, on the fiddle. Another little EQ from Sound Toys, basically just taking out some low mid. Every mix is different and you use what you want to use on the day, so that's what I've done. There's another little EQ here. On the reverb for the fiddle, I've used a Valhalla plate, just one of the presets. I think I've messed with it a little bit, and I actually took a similar EQ curve to the initial EQ that I had on the fiddle and rolled off the bottom end just to stop the reverb jamming up the mix. And I've also used Waves EDT. I've just made this up from scratch. I've also used this on the guitar as well. If we have a little look at the automation, you see it's quite a lot going on. It looks worse than it really is. And if you look at the automation on the cello, it's basically my idea of how the balance should be between these instruments. Let's move on to the cello. It's largely some counterpoint to the fiddle. Some nice plucking going on there, and then in the middle, there's quite a kind of large dynamic section in the middle. That's quite full on in the middle, so hence quite a lot of automation. The cello player's Rufus Huggan. Very little tape emulation, the 176 compressor, and a little bit of EQ at the bottom end. The EQ at the bottom end is more so that I can turn the instrument up. Again, just a little bit of this same plate, but I've EQ'd that slightly differently, and I've used Logic's standard plugin, channel plugin, just because it worked. I think I was probably trying to get mixes for the guys on the day, and we were doing it in Logic, and I've used Logic's plugins because they're really good on CPU. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. On the guitar, which is Luc McNally, I've used, apart from the tape emulation, it's a Neve 1073 emulation from Arturia. They've all got the same compressor, which is a UAD 176, almost invisible, but like I say, I must have liked this EQ on the day. On the guitar, I've used an imager to pull it over to the left. I've panned the guitar to the right and then used a kind of asymmetrical thing to push it over to the left. It's the same Valhalla plate, but this one's got a delay of 8 seconds. And I've also used Logic's EQ just to roll off the bottom end. I should really talk about the 73. So this EQ, bit of top end, added a bit of top end, dropped a bit of 1.6, and I've dropped a slight bit low mid and rolled off the bottom. And obviously it's getting coloured by the preamp itself. I did put a little bit of delay on this Logic stock delay plugin, and then I fired that into the ADT, the Waves ADT. There's more reverb on the guitar. This is very sparse, and I just wanted to create an ambience that they could play in. So as you can see, the reverb's kind of carrying on. I put some reverb on the cello as well. Again, same plate, also 8-second delay. That's quite interesting. I've altered the pre-delay. It's always interesting when you pull up files from yesteryear and you see the decisions you made, which in this case I'm quite pleased with. The fiddle, just finally, the fiddle, I've used the Kramer tape just because there's quite a lot of top end to have to deal with, just taming that. A quick look at the plugins for the output, just briefly. API 560, soft tube tape, Arturia, it's a 33609 emulation, which is really good. Soft tube again, kind of smiley face on the pull tech, a little bit of boost on the bottom and on the high mid. We've got a multi-band compressor, just kind of taming bits and pieces. Left the top end not as compressed as the mid and the low end. We've got an Oxford inflator, which is just tickling a little bit of the upper mid range. FabFilter Pro L2 set to the punchy thing, and these are just a couple of meters. I'll give you a quick blast of the middle section here, just so you can see what's happening. So all in all, not really a lot to have to do. And as I said, there may be a couple of minor edits rather than knitting it all together from loads and loads of takes. The one thing I had to kind of deal with is this section in the middle. On the guitar particularly, this is a conscious decision just to drop off suddenly. There's also a lovely section in here with the cello where I believe I have accentuated this note. Just sounded so nice in the reverb, so. Also did this with the fiddle, accentuated that scrape. Well, there you go. All in all, a lovely album to be involved in, and great musicians, these guys. Charlie Stewart, Rufus Huggan and Luc McNally. And I hope you've enjoyed the little spin round this track. And if you want to know more, there'll be a link in the description. Future in here, just to let you know that you can listen to the entire album if you follow the link in the description. If you previously purchased the album in CD format, or if you do purchase a CD, you can log into your account on the website and there'll be a download of this particular mix. Let me know in the comments if you would like to hear or see an in-depth video of any of the other music on the site. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.